A few months ago, a woman I know sat in the third row of a primary school auditorium. Her daughter was playing the lead in the end of year show. She had her phone on silent. She had been looking forward to this for weeks. Somewhere in the second act, her phone lit up. A notification, a CRM, a contract just signed. $38,000. A client she had spoken to exactly once 3 weeks earlier. She watched her daughter finish the show. She clapped, she took photos, she took her daughter for an ice cream. She did not respond to the notification until the next morning. So now here's what I want you to understand about that moment. 18 months before it happened, the same woman was working 65 hours a week and questioning whether her business was viable or not. She had taken one holiday in 3 years. She had missed her daughter's previous school play because she had a client call. Same woman, same business, different architecture. And the architecture is what I want to show you today, because the way most people are building their business, they will never have that moment. They will spend years getting better at the wrong things, working harder on problems that don't need solving, moving faster in a direction that leads nowhere. This is the story of 5 decisions that changed everything, and by the end, you'll understand exactly what was built so that a $38,000 contract could close on a Tuesday afternoon while its owner watched a school play. 18 months earlier, her name is Sarah. She runs an HR consulting practice, and at this point in the story, she's doing everything she was told to do. She posts on LinkedIn every morning before her kids wake up. She has 3 service offering on her website because she read somewhere that you should give people option. She hired a virtual assistant 3 months ago to help manage the volume. She has a newsletter she tries to send every 2 weeks whenever she remembers. Last month, she made the same revenue she made earlier. She told me something in our first conversation that I have heard from almost every business owner I've worked with at this stage. She said, I feel like I'm doing everything right and nothing is working. And she was right about the first part. She was doing everything she had been told. The content, the ads, the offer, the team, the systems, all of it. On paper, she looked like a business that should be scaling. The problem was invisible. And because it was invisible, more effort couldn't fix it. It just accelerated it. I told her there were 5 things wrong, not 50. Just 5. I told her that fixing them would require her to stop doing things, mostly to subtract rather than add, and she didn't believe me, because she thought I'm going to tell her to do more. I asked Sarah to do one thing in our first session. Write one sentence that describes exactly who you help, what specific problem you solve, and what specific results they get. This is what she wrote. I help businesses with their people strategy. I asked her to read it back. She did. I asked her, if someone read that sentence, would they know whether you were the right person for them? She was quiet for a moment. The sentence she had was fine, grammatically, professionally, completely fine. It also could describe 400 other consultants, which means it describes none of them and none of her. Here's what a vague sentence actually does in the market. It doesn't attract the wrong people. It attracts the people who are mildly curious and not yet ready to buy. The people who actually need you. The solo consultant lying awake at midnight because she can't figure out why she's fully booked and still barely profitable. She reads, I help businesses with their people strategy, and keeps scrolling because nothing in that sentence made her feel seen. Sarah spent 2 sessions rewriting it. The final version, I help solo HR consultants who are fully booked but barely profitable build a retainer model that generates $10,000 a month with fewer clients. 2 weeks later, she told me something that I've heard many times since. She said a woman had messaged her on LinkedIn after seeing the post. The message said, I don't know how you knew, but that was exactly me. That message is worth more than any ad budget. That message is what happens when a sentence stops trying to reach everyone and starts speaking directly to one person. And when the right person feels found, they don't browse, they buy. About 2 weeks after the sentence, Sarah started getting inquiries more than before, but she was still losing deals. She described the pattern: strong call, good conversation, genuine connection, and then at the very end, the prospect would say they were also speaking to a couple of other consultants and would be in touch soon. She asked me what she was doing wrong on the calls. I told her the calls were fine. The problem was that she had the right sentence, but she was still standing in a crowd, still one option in a short list, still competing. When someone tells you they are speaking to other consultants, it means your positioning is not yet complete. Because when positioning is complete, there are no other consultants. There is just you. And the client's question is when, not whether. Most businesses spend their entire careers competing. The ones that grow fast own a category. Those are two completely different games and with completely different economics. Owning a category requires one thing most businesses refuse to do: have a perspective that costs you something. Sarah's perspective was this: HR consultants don't have a skills problem, they have a packaging problem. The industry teaches them to sell their time. She was arguing publicly and consistently that the model itself was broken. That perspective made some people uncomfortable. A few people argue with her. She even lost a couple of followers, and 17 decision makers in her target niche started following her who had never heard of her before. The ones who argue with you publicly are not your clients, but the ones watching silently, they were already convinced. You just showed them where you stood. Sarah had a sharp sentence, a clear stance, and she still had a marketing problem. She was spending time on 4 different platforms: LinkedIn, Instagram, a newsletter she was inconsistent with, and she had been thinking about starting a podcast. She asked me a simple question: which platform she should focus on. I asked her a different question: what is the easiest thing for your ideal client to say yes to? She thought about it. I told her to think smaller, way smaller, the thing that cost them nothing to agree to. No money, no commitment, no risk, the thing that just gives them something valuable in exchange for 15 minutes of their time. She built a free HR consultant revenue audit, 20 questions, 15 minutes, a specific output that tells a solo HR consultant exactly where their retainer revenue ceiling is and why. Then she did one more thing. She stopped promoting her consulting practice. She promoted the audit instead. Within 30 days, her conversion from content view to conversation had increased 4 times because she was asking strangers for 15 minutes, not 5 figures. The platform question, by the way, she chose LinkedIn. One platform every day for 90 days. She had 10 hours a week for marketing. 4 platforms meant 2.5 hours each. 2.5 hours a week builds momentum nowhere. 10 hours on one platform compounds every piece, builds on the last. The algorithm starts to recognize you. The audience starts to expect you. By day 60, she stopped doing outreach entirely. Inbound had replaced it completely. So now let's get back to it. This is the decision that made the school play possible. Sarah now had the right people finding her, the right people reaching out, and she had a new problem. She didn't have time to talk to all of them. Every lead that came in required a sequence of actions that fell entirely on her. Respond to the inquiry, qualify them in 2 or 3 messages, send a calendar link, chase the no-shows, prep for the call, run the call, write the proposal, send it, follow up twice, chase it. I sat with her and counted 18 touch points per lead, start to finish. I then asked her to circle the ones that required her brain, her actual strategic intelligence, the thing that nobody else could do. 3 circles: the qualifying conversation, the call itself, the close. Everything else was logistics. What AI automation does is handle the 15 logistic steps. So the 3 human steps become the only thing you ever touch. The lead comes in, a response goes out in under 60 seconds. Any hour, any day, a qualification sequence runs automatically, a calendar slot gets booked, a reminder goes out, a no-show gets follow-up, a document arrives in the prospect's inbox 24 hours before the call that has them thinking about their problem, before they've even met you. The call happens, the proposal is sent within the 15 minutes by a template that only needs a name and a number. Sarah built this over 3 weeks. 8 hours of setup total. She is not technical. Her average time from lead to booked call fell from 4 days to 40 minutes. And here's what actually happened as a result. Sarah got her evenings back. She got her mornings back. She stopped checking her phone every hour. The machine was watching the pipeline. She was doing the 3 things only she could do. That is how a $38,000 contract closes on a Tuesday afternoon while its owner watches a school play. The machine closed it. She built the machine. When Sarah first came to me, she had one specific request: help me close better. She had been reading about sales techniques, objection handling, trial closes, assumptive language. She had a document of scripts she had collected from various YouTube videos. I asked her one simple question: what percentage of the people who get on a call with you are already decided before it started? She thought for a second and said, maybe 10%. I told her that number is the problem, and improving your closing technique will not change it. Here's what Sarah's sales funnel looked like before the 5 decisions. The stranger sees a vague post. They are mildly curious. They book a call. They arrive knowing almost nothing about Sarah except that she does something with HR. On the call, Sarah has to establish trust, explain what she does, understand their problem, make a case for her specific approach, present pricing, and ask for a decision. That is an enormous amount of weight for one conversation to carry. Now let's talk about what her sales funnel looked like after. A specific person sees a post that names their exact problem. They download an audit that shows them the shape of what's wrong. They book a call through an automated system that sends them a prep document. So now they arrive with trust already built, problem already named, curiosity already converted, and they are on that call because they want to be. Sarah went from closing 22% of her calls to 58%. She did not change a single word of how she spoke on those calls. The close rate changed because everything upstream changed. One number worth knowing: if you are closing below 30%, the problem lives in one of the 4 decisions before the call. The call is the most honest measurement in any business. It tells you whether the foundation is solid or not. Let me take you back to the school auditorium. Sarah is sitting in the 3rd row. Her daughter is on the stage. The show is halfway through. Her phone lights up. Here is what that notification actually represents. It represents a sentence that she rewrote until a stranger felt found. It represents a perspective she took publicly, even when people disagreed. It represents an entire entry point so easy to say yes to that leads stopped requiring persuasion. It represents a machine she built in 8 hours that now runs the entire logistics of her business without her being present. It represents 4 upstream decisions that made the close almost inevitable. That notification did not arrive because Sarah worked harder. It arrived because at a specific point, 18 months earlier, she stopped adding and started deciding. Here's what I want you to sit with. most people watching this are not failing because they are lazy. They are in exactly the position Sarah was in, doing everything they were told to do. More content, more platforms, more offers, more outreach, more efforts, and the revenue hasn't moved. The problem isn't the effort. The problem is that efforts feel like progress, and as long as it feels like progress, no one stops to ask whether the direction is right or not. At some point, you have to decide what you actually want from this business. Because the version where you grind until something works has a ceiling, and most people hit it in a year or so, spend the next 5 years wondering why they can't break through it. The version where you make 5 specific decisions and then let the architecture do the work doesn't have a ceiling. It has a school play. So if you want to see how we build this for consulting and service businesses, the link is below. I'll see you in the next one.